So it's part of my job to visit these doctors' offices, have conversations with the decision makers, inspire them to have these conversations sooner. I really believe that, you have your physical, and they have to ask you certain questions, silly things like, do you wear your seatbelt, right? Or like they have to ask you those things. Why isn't one of those, do you have an advanced directive in place? That
Well,
doesn't
you
mean
you you have to understand that's a tough sell for them.
it's a very
Like
tough sell.
that's like a mechanic calling me and saying, "Hey, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I want you to talk to this guy from the junkyard."
Right? That's a good analogy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like,
Um,
hey, go jump off a bridge. I love my truck.
I go into the doctor's office, I speak with them. I do library presentations. I go to over 55 communities. I will go anywhere people will listen to me. I will talk to 2 people or 200 people. I just want people to understand it, to not be so afraid of it. I want to break it down to its most basic level of a benefit. I do like to differentiate Red Oak because we really are a very different breed of hospice. The majority of hospice programs that are out there are really big corporations. They're in several states. They're doing home health. They're doing home provider visits, like a visiting doctor, like from back in the day. They're doing a lot, but they're doing it in mass quantities. It's and I've worked for large corporations, and it's kind of a social security mill. You lose that personal touch. It's not Mrs. Jones, it's 137, it's what we're billing Medicare for. That's not to say that you won't still get maybe a really good nurse or a really good social worker, of course. But the foundation of a smaller program is just very, very different. It is, when you're answering the phone and saying, "Hey Joe, how's Sarah?" instead of press this prompt for this and that prompt for that. So I love Red Oak because it is a smaller program. It really is a more personal, individualized approach. I call it corner store versus corporation, and that I feel like really gets that feeling of how different we are. That corner store approach. So, we're in Cumberland and Salem counties. We do partner with Autumn Lake, so we service all of those buildings as well outside of Cumberland and Camden counties. That's also for Salem. I messed that up. Salem and Cumberland, where we do the whole community. And then in Cape County, we service an Autumn Lake building. And in Camden County, we service 3 Autumn Lake buildings. But our core is that Cumberland and Salem County, where we treat everyone everywhere in their home, assisted living, a skilled nursing facility, over 55 buildings. We do all of that. But it's nice to work small potatoes. You get so much more done because in a large corporate structure, about 15 to 20% of all of the money that comes into each individual branch of that corporate structure goes back to corporate headquarters to cover the VP of this and the VP of that and the blah, 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 all these regional leadership positions. But when you work for a small program, all that money stays in the program and you're able to put it back into, number one, patient care, and number two, your staff salaries. So you're able to keep good nurses, right? You're able to
Hmm.
hire good nurses because you get what you pay for. And you really, you don't just hire anybody to go out and do hospice. This is a big deal. The people are dying. It's not the high school student nurse. Had better be the right nurse. And sadly, I saw in the corporate structure that they would hire warm bodies that check the box. Okay, you have all the credentials, but are you a hospice nurse? Come on. That's a
And
different
Red
thing.
Oak, you're at the point, well, and I know Red Oak nurses, and it's a part of the community to the point where you get requested often
Mm-hmm.
because somebody took care of your aunt,
Mm-hmm.
and they call in, they think that person was great and they comfortable with them in their house, and so obviously they want them. It's very genuinely relationship
Mm-hmm.
based and community based.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said about the corner store, the general store, it's like you know, you don't walk into ShopRite, bump into the owner and chat about the weather so much, but that's like more of a general store thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people who've worked with local Red Oak Hospice know Red Oak Hospice, know the
Hmm.
people, bump into them out and about, bump into
Hmm.
them at the Amish market. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Word of mouth for sure.
I see that because I hear stories like, oh, I have this case now, and I had his
Yep.
brother
Yeah.
and their
Hmm.
mother.
In fact, one of our
That's like
team
such a
members,
familiar.
we took care of their family member years ago, and now she's one of our chaplains. So, yeah, it's very much, we get volunteers that way. That, 6 months or a year when they feel ready, because it takes some time.
I'm sure.
So, yeah, I really do. I would struggle to work in a corporate arena structure of hospice ever again. I really would. Number one, I don't think I would do well in any corporate arena. Um, I'm not spreadsheets, conversations, So it's special. Red Oak really is special.